Yo, what is up, fuckers? Welcome back to another episode of Pillar Thriller. Today we'll be covering Barbarian. I'm Justin.
Woo-hoo! I'm Romo. I'm pumped about this one. We just covered Halloween Ends, so we were not too pumped to have to cover that one.
Check that out.
Barbarian is a massive surprise. Massive surprise.
Not gonna lie. I agree. Yeah.
I mean,
before we get into it, man.
I feel like there's not much to say because you weren't no one could have predicted how this movie went, and that's why I call it a massive surprise.
I agree. Before we dive into that, let's just shout out our sponsors real quick, man. Cozy Jude, Pillar Thriller, man. Boring_Millie is IG. Hunt Junkies, Volante, Megan Hunt Junkie Jr. TT.
Eric Martilli.
Martinelli.
Same thing. My bad, Eric.
Yeah.
Eric Martinelli.
Yeah. He's crafty.
He's crafty.
He's crafty.
And then we got B-Jack, just kicking it. Brand about sneakers. Check out his new line.
Yeah.
So, thank y'all to all y'all that support us.
For sure. And then I'm gonna go ahead and shout out Mark, man, from Movie Palette. We'll be partnering with him pretty soon. So we'll
have a code and stuff that y'all can use to purchase these posters. They're really cool. They're framed pictures related to movies. They have the color scheme of specific iconic movies. That's all we're going to say really right now, because once we get it, we'll be able to actually advertise it to y'all and show y'all. So
for sure.
It's pretty sick stuff.
But today, let's get into some Barbarian action, bro. First of all, I'm going to start, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, go ahead. I wasn't stopping you.
Yeah. And so like not gonna lie, like I wasn't very excited with the movie. I did hear really good reviews about it, so I was like, all right, cool, whatever. I lately, when it comes to movies I really want to watch, I have been going into movies blindly. Like even like a lot of times I'll do some research or whatever, like to try to or even watch a lot of the trailers, even try to dissect those a little bit. But I've been going on movies blindly. I was surprised to find out that this cast was crazy.
Not many people in this either.
Yeah, but it was really good. Like, so when I found out Bill Skarsgård was in the movie, because I loved it. Chapter 2, not so much. Like, you know.
Yeah.
We'll double tap.
But that wasn't that good in the book anyway. So.
Yes. So, but it was absolute killer. By the way, my wife and my brother, who are not big horror fans, as soon as Bill Skarsgård got on the TV and I was watching Barbarian, they were like, "Is that Pennywise?" And I was like,
that bothers me. Bill Skarsgård is so much. I mean, he's obviously amazing as Pennywise. Yeah. He's so much better of a person than just say, "Is that Pennywise?" Yeah. I'm gonna talk to them after this. I'm gonna talk with them after this because that infuriates me, Garrett. If you can hear me, and then you get a pass because I love you.
Yeah. Garrett, no, you don't get a fucking pass.
Garrett, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah. No, but they were like, "Oh, is that Penny?" Like I'm like, "Yeah, it is." Like, and they're like, "Oh, his face is so distinguishable." Like, you know, and
it is.
And then my wife was like, "Oh, he's kind of hot." I'm like, "All right, yeah."
Yeah, cool. He is attractive.
Yeah.
But Justin was like, now I'm getting insecure. Now I'm getting insecure.
Yeah, no, he's a good looking guy.
Yep.
There are a lot of good looking people. Channing Tatum.
Georgina Campbell also is very good looking. The woman.
Is that her name?
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, great cast. And so when I went into it and it was like, oh, immediately. So when I started out as an Airbnb type movie, yeah, I was like, oh, it's just gonna be another thriller. Like, like that's what I thought. I was like, okay, thrillers are cool and whatever. I've written some. I'm probably still gonna do some, but I was based off of the name Barbarian. Barbarian. That's like the big, like it's not, to me. That's a big word. Like you think, oh man, it's gonna be somebody who's gonna fuck you all the way up.
Yep.
You know, when you hear Barbarian, I automatically think of Arnold Schwarzenegger, Conan the Barbarian, but it has nothing to do, like, you know, but that's what I think of. But the movie's surprisingly great. Like even like with like the plot itself was dope. There's just a couple things I didn't like about the movie in particular, but overall, as a whole, I really enjoyed it, especially because of the cast. The acting was great. and it doesn't look like much, like if any at all. It doesn't look like CGI was used for somebody, not somebody, but for like a movie to have. I don't know what to call her, a zombie. I don't know exactly what I call it. Like
she's just a mutant.
Yeah,
because she's incest.
Right, like so like but for like for there to be some type of monster or mutant, for them to use practical effects pretty much.
Yeah.
The whole time I thought was really really good. And
shout out to Matthew Patrick Davis who played the mother in this film.
Yeah. I didn't know who that was, but I definitely could tell it was a dude.
I didn't know who that was either, but he played something else that I remember hearing about, and I'd have to look it up. What else he played from like a practice? It was also a creature.
Okay.
But anyway, to continue with your thoughts.
So this movie, parts of it were scary. Great jump scares. I thought. Kills were great. Oh my god! And my favorite kill. I'll talk about this later as we get through the story, but I'll tell you what my favorite kill of the movie is later. We have not discussed this movie at all. Mm-hmm. I wanted to discuss this
live and in color.
Live and yeah, man. So, but overall, great acting, pretty good story, very well put together, and absolutely gory, and scary. You know, two things I really look forward to in a scary movie. Two things are like gore and how scary it actually is. But we'll dive into that more after I get your thoughts on it as well. So,
I had told Justin, I'd watched this, and I told Justin, I was like, look, we have to cover this. You have to watch it because there's so many horror movies that came out, but saw the reviews. I had seen the trailer, and was not ready for what the movie ended up actually being. Because the movie resets itself during it. It resets itself. And if you've seen it, you know what I mean. Because Justin Long ends up being a very important character.
Yeah.
And love Justin Long. Shout out Tusk. Shout out all the stuff he's been in. Absolutely love him. Jeepers Creepers. I have my problems with the director, but I love Justin Long's work in that.
I think we all got problems with the director of Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah. So, anyway, similar to what Justin said, like this was kind of, it wasn't a mindfuck in the way that an elevated horror is a mindfuck. It was a mindfuck in that I was not ready for what I was seeing on the screen.
Yeah.
And that's what made this so enjoyable, is that it was a fresh take on a story that I couldn't have guessed with a million guesses on what was going to happen. The kills were nice. Good tension using the underground tunnels. The tension was great when they were going down there. Like I was kind of always on edge. They like made sense of why stuff was happening, even though it was all introduced later in the movie, on like the rationale and what happened. And like Justin said, the acting's great. There's not many people in this movie, but the acting is really well done. It was written. It's not very simple, but it's simple enough to where you just let the characters run with it. The storyline by no means is extremely simple, but it's not extremely complex, right? Mm-hmm. It's just, they have this concept and they say, what if we made a movie about this concept of someone running around these underground tunnels has been there and they're a product of incest, so we find out later, and I'll get into that a little more. But they just then give that concept to four, because I'll throw Richard Brake in there, even though he wasn't in it very much, because I love him. Always got to shout out Richard Brake, and just let them run with the story. So I really enjoyed it. Wish there'd be more movies like this that take chances like that. I understand that they had big build actors and actresses in this, but taking that chance is what was so good about this movie, and I think why people like this movie so much.
I agree. Like the man. So one thing specifically I really enjoyed about this movie too is the color palettes that were used. So like there was a point in the movie where it just became bright all of a sudden. It was very colorful, bright yellow, bright blue. You saw that, and I think you referred to it as them going back in time.
Yeah, it was a flashback.
Yeah, and I was like, oh. You don't see that in horror movies, even thrillers. Like you don't see very many bright colors. I thought it was a cool incorporation of a color palette in a movie like this, especially. you don't see it very much. It's very rare, very seldom, but it really and a lot of times doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, it did.
Yeah.
There, but before we like delve into like what we really liked and what we really thought, like are there things in there that you did not like?
Oh wait, I mean, I have one critique on the movie. And it's funny that this is a critique. I wish Bill Skarsgård was in it more. That's it. I understand why he's not. So it's like I can't even say that's like, oh, that's such a bad thing. Like, because it was so his character dying was so monumental to the storyline that I wish he was.
Kill was crazy.
Yeah.
And I didn't think they were gonna keep doing it. And like, so for those wondering, like, so this guy, this movie starts out with an Airbnb. We'll give you a quick rundown so that we're all on the same page.
Spoiler alert.
Yes.
Said spoilers already, so
yeah,
you should have caught that.
This movie starts out. This lady's she goes to Detroit for a job interview. She goes to an Airbnb, and it's double booked. It was her and Bill Skarsgård. Everybody, like, at the beginning, you think he's gonna be the bad guy because, why is he there? Didn't double book, and
just seems sketchy that would happen.
And he's trying to offer her tea and wine, like he's trying to like fucking rape her or some shit like that.
Well, he's also very like standoffish, where he like does that, and then he's like, oh, like, my bad, like, I understand you don't want this from a stranger. Like, he always covers that to where like it leaves enough.
Like socially awkward.
Yeah, he's very socially awkward.
Yeah,
and he was incredible at playing that because I had like so much sympathy for him.
After?
Yeah. So I'm like, this guy was just trying to like, and it truly happened.
You know, I don't know, a day or two later, the lady, so they find out, like, she's not even a day or two later. Let me just go back just a little bit. So it's double booked, so she tries to find, she's like, oh, it's not your fault. Let me try to find a hotel. Let me try to find another place. He is, come to find out there's like some type of convention. Mm-hmm. So all the hotels are booked. She ends up staying there or whatever. But it turns out he was a good guy. She was fine, and they actually really got along. Mm-hmm. And I guess one day when she was gone, or when he was gone, she finds like an extra room where, like a tunnel.
It's an underground tunnel, yeah.
Yeah, like an underground thing where like apparently like you come to find out there's like a dude from the 70s who's been living underground there for 40 plus years. With this, and he had been attracting women into the basement, and he would.
Which is that flashback that Justin was talking about.
Yeah.
That's Richard Brake, and you see Richard Brake like pretty much pose as a plumber to get into somebody's house, and you find out that was probably a future victim.
Yeah. Because they didn't really show much. Hey, Roman.
Hey, Roman. My dog is making noise, so y'all probably hear that.
And you find out, like, you don't think much of it because like, they didn't show him killing.
It was all insinuated.
Yeah. And, but anyway, she finds this place, whatever, down there, and he's like, oh shit, let me get you out of here, or whatever. And, he ends up going down there. And there's this like mutant they're talking about.
Like it's called Mother.
Yeah, because what he had been doing was just taking these women, fucking them, having babies with them, and then fucking those babies and having babies with those babies.
Not in actual baby form, of course.
Right.
Actually, like when they were mature enough, they were down there because you'd imagine this would be a fucked up individual, not to their own fault, but a fucked up individual if you are the third, fourth, fifth in line from incest.
Yeah, and so they, like, when Bill Skarsgård went down there, the fucking thing killed him. Yeah. And like that was crazy. Like, to me, like, cause I wasn't expecting it, right? And she just comes up from behind him, takes his head, and just starts smashing it against the wall.
Yep.
And like, after 2 times, you would think that they would stop showing it.
Over and
over, which was, I was smiling, but it was like, it's fucked up. But it was good. And And so then then they get themselves into like a whole different position. It's like a new day.
It resets completely, is what I was mentioning. Is like you follow Justin Long immediately in his character.
Yeah.
And he is like in debt. He's not doing well financially, and so he buys those properties that are in that rundown town. To mention, it's like that's the only house on that entire block that doesn't look like a crack house. And so he gets those, and now he owns that house, and now he's trying to find ways of like advertising it or selling it. So he's like, hey, and he's also hilarious in this role, but he's like trying to find ways to add square footage, and he finds this underground tunnel, and he's like, oh, let me go measure, like, can a secret tunnel be square footage and all this stuff? And I can't remember what he concluded on that. I think he like looked up a whole bunch of shit, and he was like, yeah, this is awesome. So he started literally taking a tape measure, which is also one of my favorite scares in the movie later. And he's just measuring the stairs down deeper into this underground tunnel. And that's how he's getting deeper and deeper into it. And then he runs into the girl, right?
Yeah.
He runs into Georgina Campbell's character.
She's like, shh, shh, yeah. Shh. And like, tells him, like, first of all, I thought she was dead.
Yep.
So I was going to say the things, like, there's not a lot I didn't like. But, obviously, Bill Skarsgård not being in the movie enough. Number two was, like, when they did meet that girl, or when she did meet that girl, and, like, she screamed in her face, it just stared at her. Didn't have any kind of reaction to the.
Oh, are you talking about when Bill died?
Yeah. Had no reaction to any of it.
I guess I didn't, like, focus on that.
Yeah.
Because it cut so quickly, and I was trying to register what just happened.
Yeah. She had no reaction to the thing. Like, whatever you call it.
Probably was in shock.
Yeah, and just stared at her, pretty much. And that was one of the things I didn't like. Some of the writing was corny.
Like what?
At the dating things. So, like, not dating, because they weren't dating. But at the beginning, there was like something in the beginning where, I can't, like, there's a specific, the specific line I can't really think of at this moment, but there were a couple things that they would say back and forth, Bill and her, that were like.
See, I just accredited that to him being so socially awkward.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Is they were purposely trying to make this stuff weird because of his character is supposed to be very socially awkward. It wasn't like some hunk Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah.
But like, it resets obviously, and we get through Justin's part, and you find out that she has been acting as like the daughter or baby of the mother
whatever that
saw, and that's why she stayed alive, which is terrifying because Justin Long is not about that. She's giving him like a milk bottle to the ceiling, and he's like, I do not want to drink your fucking milk.
And it's got her hair all on
it
on
was creepy.
Yeah. And she drinks the milk, and he's like, no, I'm not fucking doing that. So she drags him, and there's this video of like his mother breastfeeding, and she's trying to get him, and then now she's like, oh, okay, you can just suck on my titty. And he's like, nah, I'm not doing that shit either. So
it was that was probably the most disturbing part of the movie.
Yeah. It's so and then so that's the thing. So anyway, after that happened, she escapes. And here's another thing I hate.
She just takes off,
is that she went back. If you're in that position for however long, I also hated the cops didn't listen to her or any of that shit, right? But
that was purely because they were thinking she's just another
crackhead. Yeah. And my thing is like, why are you going back in there?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
I guess she felt like she knew that Justin Long was going to die if she didn't, which is that's just a compassion thing. You understand not everyone would do that, but some people are built
if I don't know you, bro.
But some people are built like that.
Yeah. I mean, I do it for like you or like Vise or my wife.
But some people are like, no, I can't morally know that I let this person die down
there. I would go and get help, but I would not go back in there myself. That's crazy.
Yeah.
No. Are you like? I'm being held prisoner this whole time, but I mean, the mother didn't even want to kill her anyway,
and so they escape,
mm-hmm.
and this guy helps them out, and then they get over there and they're talking with him, and it's like, he's like, I don't know how, like he knows about this shit.
Yeah,
he's the one that explains this older guy who's just living in this little shack area, like knew that this has been happening, and that's where you get all the you get that context with like 20 minutes left in the film, that's what was happening with Richard Brake as the father and the mothers being created, which is really wild that you get it that late and you figure it out, but you're like you're processing all this as it's happening. And she ends up chasing them, kills him also very brutally, like smashes his head in and everything.
There's not many kills. If I count, I only counted 3.
Yeah, three if we don't count the like the mother at the end.
Yeah.
Just so long.
Right. So I mean
5 total.
Well, no, I'm counting Justin.
So 5 total if you count the mother.
Because I only counted 3, which was Bill, Justin, and the crackhead, the guy from
Richard Brake dies.
Oh yeah, he shoots himself. And then what was the 5th one you were talking about?
Justin Long.
That's what I was talking. I said Justin already.
Bill, homeless guy.
Justin,
mother.
Oh, and mom. Okay, I didn't.
She gets shot.
The actual shootings you didn't see. So you didn't see Richard die, and you didn't see the shot.
You saw him dead right after.
Yeah.
And it just shows Justin Long when it happened.
It's weird because like, the 3 kills were fucking brutal.
Yep.
But you don't show the gunshots.
Well,
it's like, you know what I mean? But
it's a sensitivity thing.
Yeah.
But the Justin Long, like at the end, Justin Long does. This is what I want to get to before. We don't have much time left in this episode, but I freaked out when they found out they're on like top of that water tower running away from Mother, and he just pushes Georgina Campbell's character off because he knows the mother's gonna jump for her and just wants to save her baby. So that was like I loved that too. Talk about twist, like the movie doesn't just do that, and then
my mouth just dropped. I was like, oh, that was wild.
And then he gets down there and he's all apologetic. He's like, oh,
sorry, I had to.
I slipped a little bit.
Shut the fuck up.
I was losing my balance.
No, bro. Like, I would never do that. Like, there are a lot of, like, whatever. Especially after she tried to come save you.
Yep.
And you're going to throw her off the building.
Yeah.
But he deserved what he got because...
Oh, my God.
That was my favorite kill. The mutant takes her fingers, sticks it in his eyes, and they show this, by the way. And then just rips his head in half. Like that. And I was like, oh, this is great.
It was insane. And then Georgina Campbell's character has to go through the moral dilemma of, with this gun, do I end this and shoot the mother and stop this from continuing because Richard Brake's dead?
Yeah.
Or do I just, because I'm her baby, do I go back with her? Was pretty much her only choice. She wasn't going to escape at that point.
She was like, I can't go back.
Yeah, so she shot her, and that's
how it ends.
Yeah, that movie... It throws so many curveballs,
yeah,
and it's hitting the fucking strike zone with those curveballs.
Yeah,
that's what I like.
Every single time. That one miss, the movie I thought overall was dope. Aside from the really few things like that I didn't like, which is pretty much in every horror movie to me, is like you have like one victim who's like, I'm like, as a watcher, as a viewer, like I would never go back. I would never go in there.
Yeah.
But you were fucking dumb and like, oh, it's like that commercial where it's like, let's go into that barn with like this chainsaws.
Let's run. Should we run by the running car? No, let's run by the chainsaws.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's like that, That's pretty much in every horror movie where you're making dumb decisions. Like, no, get the fuck out of there. But aside from that, as a whole, it was great. Like, I just thought it was really cool, really fun, and really, really well put together. A lot of times when you have a lot of stars together, you get really faulty movies that you're just there for the star power. It really has nothing to do with anything, which was cool. Which is why I thought this was dope.
Blended it so well.
For me,
let me ask what your rating would be on this film.
Yeah,
because I want to know.
So
what you thought. You gave really good commentary on what you thought about this.
Yes,
it's fresh in your mind. So I really want to know.
It's a straight 4.
Man, a 4.
Yes.
I like that.
Out of 4 out of 5.
That's probably, and I'd have to look back at the tape, but that's one of the higher ones we've given it in a while.
It's it was just really well done. I thought, I don't think there are not very many blemishes. I love the use of practical effects, color palettes all together. Acting was great. Scares were great. I was very invested in the thing. There was like emotionally invested.
Yeah.
So overall,
Like
I think it hit.
guy.
Yeah, it hit a lot of check marks for me. So I checked off a lot of things on the box. What about you?
I like that. Off of the pillar point system, I did find it to be scary. It's not the scariest movie I've ever seen, but the scares, like the measuring tape scare, I really liked when that gets retracted. When you see the mother run at the first time you see her, and then you see her later when the girl goes back, you see her in the distance. And then Justin Long sees her with the phone, and she's like in the background, but you see her. Like, the scares were really good in this movie, I thought. Even to the point where I was like kind of freaking out over when the homeless guy was chasing after her, like trying to get back in the house. Like, that was very tense, even though we find out that he was a good guy trying to stop her from getting in.
Yeah.
Emotionally invested in the characters. I thought the characters blended extremely well together. I thought the directing style, it takes a lot of balls to throw something like a curveball like that, like I said, and execute it, and then also still build on it with the story and not just have that as your one shock factor. And then this Justin Long, Bill Skarsgård, Regina Campbell, like, knocked out of the park, and then Richard Brake, just that felt like the perfect. He wasn't in it much, but I just felt like having him is so great because he's so well respected in the horror community. So I'm gonna give it a 3.5, and it's not that I thought it was really lesser than him. It's just the type of movie I thought was really good. 3.5 I think is a very good score still.
I was going back and forth between 3.5 and 4, so I just ended up going with the higher one this time around, just because I had
like it.
As of recent, especially with Halloween being so terrible, it ended up being, probably higher up for me. But man, we appreciate y'all. Thanks for tuning in. This is great. I love it.
Yep.
It's great to be back, and as always, man.
I was just gonna say we got a few things coming up.
Yeah.
We've got like movie reviews we obviously do during episodes, but we're gonna try to mix it up a little bit. That way we can touch on some movies like Smile. We can touch on some of these other movies that we want to kind of cover and try to find common themes to discuss with them. Yeah. Maybe we'll have something creative for the episode. And it won't just be us talking about a movie for 25-30 minutes. So
right.
Look forward to it.
Something, absolutely.
We're going to mix it up. We're trying to give y'all not the same type of episode every time, but
exactly.
Halloween Ends and this just felt like we wanted to cover it because we've been a while. Let's go back to the basics. Let's get our feet back wet.
Yeah.
Justin's been real nervous leading up to this. He's like, I don't know if I have it in me anymore. Yeah. I'm like, real nervous. He's very nervous. But
I always call him Cole.
Yeah.
So, but
actually, he never called me Cole.
Yeah. We love y'all, man, and thanks for tuning in. As always, like, share, subscribe. Peace and love. Peace out.
Yep.